Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Buckets and Birdies podcast.
Buckets and Birdies is a weekly glimpse into the worlds of basketball and golf.
We'll also balance national sports trends with ACC insights
and provide a lens of notable happenings of sports in our home state of North Carolina.
Two friends and industry professionals getting together to bring you 23 minutes of fun each week with shared experiences around buckets
and birdies.
He's Carter Bills, sports agent and seasoned consultant in the golf space.
Joining me on the mic is national champion, Tar Heel great, Marcus Ginyard.
Welcome to Buckets and Birdies. Welcome to another episode of the Buckets and Birdies podcast.
It's Tuesday, March 24th, and when you're hearing this one, it will be Thursday at high noon, Marcus.
Yes, that's right, Carter, because usually we're dropping them Fridays at high noon. But since we're still in the middle of March Madness, we thought it would be better suited to drop this on Thursday before the games get started.
So thanks everyone for listening again, wherever you are. Again, we're coming to you this week, Thursday, March 26th. And Marcus, we'll start as we do every week with our quote of the day.
Carter, the quote of the day today is, "Nothing can happen if not first a dream."
Jimmy V, right?
Jimmy V, correct. Nobody more perfect to quote during this time of year than Jimmy V. Obviously, their magical run in the early 80s. But, right now you've got 16 teams that still have a dream. And I'm certain that they all started with this dream. And, there's still only a chance for one of them to live it out.
All right, Marcus, and the quote of the day takes us nicely into Off the Top. And as we sit here on Tuesday evening, March 24th, there is some breaking news as the University of North Carolina has just reported that it's parting ways with head coach Hubert Davis from the men's basketball program. Obviously, big news. What does that mean to you, Marcus? What does that mean to the University of North Carolina, and where does the men's basketball program go from here?
I mean, it's a tough decision, Carter. I can't imagine, all the discussions that went into this. I know that Coach Davis, wanted to remain the head coach. I know that there's a lot of folks out there that wanted to, give him another chance and allow him another year to see if we can put it all together. There's a lot of things that didn't quite go right. Haven't quite had the success that I'm sure Hubert and everybody else wanted, but just a beloved member of the Carolina family and just tough news. These are the tough decisions that have to be made at the university level in athletics, whether college or professional. And it's unfortunate. I think everybody agrees Hubert's a great guy. And again, just kind of the business of sport. It's a sad day for sure. But hopefully there's, on the flip side of that, some opportunity for something new to be created, and for Carolina basketball to find its way, back at the top where everybody wants it to be. So, my hope is that, this in a weird way is a good thing, but it's a tough thing. There's no doubt about that, Carter. Certainly have a lot of love for Coach Davis myself. And so, just want the best for Carolina basketball. And I just truly hope that this will help us get there.
The standard for Carolina basketball is excellence. And you know that better than anybody, Marcus, as a national champion. And like you said, it is a bit of a sad day, but maybe there's some optimism on what's next as Carolina basketball hopefully steps towards that excellence. And I think there's no debate, as you alluded to, no one's debating how much they love Hubert Davis as a person. Hubert Davis is an excellent human being. And so it's a sad day from that respect, but hopefully a bright day as we look to see what's next.
Exactly. And so I have to imagine, Carter, for you, off the top, you're still thinking about your High Point Panthers, and of course not the outcome that they would have wanted, but still had a great showing here in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. Go High Point. I can't tell you, Marcus, how much I've heard Go High Point over the last few days on my cell phone. You and I were even texting about it over the weekend. As, these Cinderella stories sometimes seem to have one round that goes their way, and then you face a 4 seed in Arkansas and Coach Calipari, and it comes back to reality. But not so much. What a back and forth game. I haven't had that much fun watching a basketball game in a long time as I did watching the High Point Panthers go up against the Arkansas Razorbacks. And we had them nervous. I mean, Darius Acuff is probably the best guard, if not the best player in the country. He's the most impressive point guard I've seen all year this year, Marcus. He goes for 36 to hold us off. Really proud of High Point. We had our players seem to put it all out there. Our point guard, Rob Martin, actually went for 30 and was matching him basket for a while. Just a lot of fun to be a High Point Panther. And I tell you, I remember when High Point was really starting to come on the national map with President Quabain, as you know, and all the school really wanted without football was to make the NCAA tournament. And they did that last year, and wow, what a magical moment. And they did that this year. but a totally different story as you win a game, you endear yourself to a nation, and you really become the darling of the first round of the NCAA tournament and probably that first weekend, Marcus.
Oh, totally. I mean, I loved watching every second of that game. Had me, at the edge of my seat. As you mentioned, we were texting. I mean, I was thinking about jumping on a plane and flying out for the next round to catch High Point, and I've never done that in my life before. So I'm excited to just be talking about High Point in a new way with some fresh energy. And I'll tell you what, Carter, they're no longer going to be a Cinderella. I expect to be talking about the High Point Panthers as a team that gets to the NCAA tournament year after year. They've certainly got a bright future, and I'm just excited for another North Carolina team to be finding some success.
I tell you what, Marcus, first-year head coach Flynn Clayman wins over 30 wins in his first year. The first time that's happened for a first-year head coach in Division I men's college basketball. We know how hard it is to win games out there. Good for him. Good for the High Point Panthers, and I'm excited for what's to come in the future for him.
Shout out HPU.
All right, Marcus, with all the college basketball talk, that takes us nicely into our bucket section, and we continue to look at the brackets of March Madness. First, taking a zoom in into what happened with the schools from the ACC. Unfortunately, the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament were not the most kind of the ACC. The Duke Blue Devils are the only team left standing. There was a lot of good ball games from Clemson to Louisville to Virginia that just came up against some tough opponents with some tough results for the conference. And before we look at the Tar Heels, Marcus, did you catch any of those other games? What did you see so far?
Carter, I'll be dead honest with you. I did not. And I didn't even watch the second Duke game. But it's such a sad day today to be talking about Duke being the only ACC school left in the tournament. Really had high hopes for Miami, had high hopes for Virginia. Obviously Miami running up against a tough Purdue team, was not able to catch the Louisville game. But again, just a tough showing for the ACC after getting so many schools in and, kind of thinking like this was going to be another kind of year for the ACC to step up and kind of show their presence on the national scale and a disappointing showing, no doubt. But, proud to have had that many teams in, but certainly wish that we could have had some better results out there. There's a lot of folks out there that are big time ACC fans that say, hey, let's cheer for whoever's left in the ACC. That's not going to be me, my friend. I'm not going to be cheering for Duke. Let's go Michigan State. Let's figure this thing out. Let's not overlook St. John's, So, I mean, hopefully St. John's can take care of business. I think it would be great to have an ACC school in it, but quite frankly, I just can't stomach it being Duke.
Totally understood. And a lot of good games early. To your point, Marcus, results rule. So it would be nice to have a lot more teams from the conference marching on. But Clemson comes up against a very tough Iowa team who wins again, and they march on to the Sweet 16. Louisville wins a tough first game, and then they go against Michigan State, one of the better teams, and fall to them in the tournament. On the other end, you and I both liked Virginia advancing. They played well, but Tennessee seemed to play out of their mind, and they advanced in the South, opposed to the Cavaliers from UVA. And then the North Carolina Tar Heels up 19 points, Marcus. I was at a client event in Miami. You know me, I don't really miss games. I had to be at the event. I'm sort of looking away. We're up 19 points. The event spills into dinner, and I'm thinking, we're good. I'm checking as dinner's concluding. We're going to overtime, and I knew that momentum shift was not a good sign. What did you see as we gave up a 19-point lead? Unfortunately, it was too much of our Achilles heel to give up big leads. This one we paid for, and unfortunately, it ended up being our last game of the season.
Yeah, Carter. I mean, I was in Bone Secours Arena in Greenville, watched it like I watched so many games this year, and you said it. I mean, this is something that we've seen from this team. We've seen them give up big leads in the second half. And more times than not, we found a way to still win. But, the series of events that I saw in Greenville were very similar to a lot of other games. You think about, the game against Clemson at home. I mean, listen, we could go on and on. There's a handful of examples out there, but, at the end of the day, sadly, it wasn't shocking what I saw. It was something that, when we saw it live, obviously really hard to stomach to see it. but ultimately not something that was a big surprise to us. Unfortunately, something that we have seen from this team. So tough night for the Tar Heels in Greenville. Which doesn't get any better as we get through the weekend and now today with the news. But just a tough showing, tough showing for the ACC over the weekend.
It was an almost an incredibly tough showing as Duke barely squeaked by their first round game. Siena up 12, I believe, at one point in the first half, maybe even 11 or 12 at halftime, Marcus. I was with some Duke guys at the event I was with. They were pretty nervous checking their phones throughout last Thursday afternoon. They, fortunately for them, come back and squeak by that first round game and then really powered through the second round, beating the 9th seed TCU and looking like the number 1 overall seed in that second round game. It's like they got it back together, Marcus. Sometimes a little adversity might be good. What does that look like from your lens?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you're trying to win these 6 games in the NCAA tournament, you are going to come against some stark, competition. And a lot of times that happens in that second round game. Certainly as you get into the Sweet 16 and on, you're gonna feel that resistance. But a lot of times that second round game is tough. Duke saw a little bit of that, that struggle in the first game, but it's a lot tougher to get through that first weekend than most people think. That this is when all of the quote unquote madness is happening, right? And so it's a challenge to get through that first weekend. So you got to give them their credit to have gotten through it. But I'm telling you, you think that they had some nervous fans over the weekend in that first game. I think they might have some nervous fans coming up against St. John's. Certainly not a team that I'd want to see right now, playing with a lot of confidence. They've got a very talented team with a legendary coach, and I think that they're on a mission to prove some people wrong this year. So we'll see how that goes. But again, man, this is why we say it's Christmas in March.
You guys didn't have too much trouble in the tournament in 2009. I believe you won every game by double digits, if memory serves.
We did.
Yeah.
But listen,
so
man,
all this talk about adversity is cute, but you guys kind of laid it to people.
We took our lumps, though, man. We took our lumps on the way there. It wasn't
right.
all pretty.
All right, Marcus, so to your point, as we look into the brackets, everyone likes to recalibrate, reset, and take a peek into where they landed, what they have left. What did you have left, Marcus? If memory serves, you did pretty well. A lot of your teams that you picked to advance are still in play. And how does that look? Do you have any change of heart, new decisions as you move forward over the next couple of weeks?
No, I love my Michigan State UConn pick. I'm going to continue on with UConn moving forward there. Nebraska was a surprise, but ultimately I think Houston is going to come out of the South. Very, very happy with my Iowa State pick, and I do believe that they will move forward over Michigan out of the Midwest. And then in the West, I think I'm going to stick with Arizona, Purdue battling out in the regional final, and I'm going to continue with my 2 seeds and have Purdue coming out of there. So nothing really major changing for me right now. I think Houston still feels like the favorite for me to go home as national champion.
So all 4 of your seeds for the Final Four are still alive?
Yes.
Still alive, and you're looking good, yeah. I am still alive as well. I did pretty well over the first couple of rounds. My biggest hole, Marcus, was I had Kentucky and UVA playing in the next round matchup. Neither of them have advanced, so that was pretty poor on my end on that part. That's where you had Iowa State. I think you liked the Hoos as well, but you had Iowa State, and you picked him to march all the way to Indianapolis. So should Iowa State keep advancing, that ends up being a great, great pick from your end. And then, Marcus, I do have Houston coming out of the South. I think they're still looking in good shape. And in fact, with Florida getting knocked out, they might have the path of least resistance remaining. I do think, going back to our last conversation, Duke does have the toughest region. When you look at St. John's next, to your point, a difficult matchup. And then I wouldn't want to play Michigan State or UConn. I watched both of their games over the weekend. They look like they could be the best 2 teams left in the tournament right now. The UConn Huskies and the Michigan State Spartans, look out for that matchup. It's going to be the one of the tournament, I think, so far.
No, I'm going to have my popcorn ready for that game, Carter. I'm square in front of the TV for that one.
I did have my High Point Panthers going to the Sweet 16. That didn't quite work out. Arkansas had some other plans. I think the Arizona Wildcats would have been too much for High Point anyway. But it was fun to see them get to where they landed. I think Arkansas and Arizona becomes a great matchup. And I ultimately think Purdue takes care of business and Texas's run is over. We're not calling Texas a Cinderella, by the way, right?
Definitely not.
No, they're an 11 seed, but Texas has got enough money to buy their way a new Cinderella slipper should they need to.
There you go. All right, Carter, as we transition from buckets to birdies with our Nets and Jackets game, where we put you, Carter, on the spot to tell us the NCAA champion and Masters champion on any given year. And this year, Carter, your year is 1994.
1994 is Arkansas for the NCAA tournament, and 1994 is Jose Maria Olazabal for the Masters.
I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable how you get this, man. I had no idea who that was. I'd never heard his name before. Of course, he goes on to win a second Masters, or maybe that was his second, but two-time Masters winner. I had never even heard his name, but man,
94 and 99 for Jose. Yeah,
there you go.
That's it.
Go ahead. Tell us the story now. 99 or what? What do you do?
99 would have been UConn if we're going to do that year too.
Oh, okay.
So,
I feel you. Yeah. Well, now we know not to have that one as a year moving forward.
They beat Duke, so that was a good year.
Oh, fair. Very good. All right, Carter. So tell us what's going on in the world of golf.
All right, Marcus, I've got a few things to hit you with today from around the world on the PGA Tour. We talked so much basketball last week. We didn't quite get too much into golf, and a couple of exciting things happened. First of all, we got on the other side of the Players' Championship, which is really the fifth biggest event on the calendar if we look at it, in addition to the four majors. And Cameron Young from Wake Forest, who's been on tour for a while now, finally broke through and won at Wyndham, right, in Greensboro last year, wins the Players' Championship and gets a big one, a nice notch on his belt. Hits a 370-yard drive in the process down 18, what he called the shot of his life, Marcus, as he came home to hoist the trophy in Ponte Vedra Beach. Really good guy. Couldn't be happier for Cam Young. He is no longer a sleeper pick, as he often is for many. He ascended to 4 in the world, and he has firmly positioned himself as somebody people are going to be talking about as we head into major championship season and the Masters tournament.
Man, that would have been the shot of my life too, Carter. 370-yard drive, no doubt about it. We all know that he played really well in the Ryder Cup this fall, but love that he's no longer a sleeper, no longer a Cinderella. So let's keep our eyes on Cam Young moving forward.
That's it. You said it. He was one of the lone bright spots for Team USA. So I love his momentum, and I love what he has to offer, and I'm excited to watch him in the coming weeks as big-time golf unfolds. This past week, Marcus, Sunday concluded the Valspar Championship in the Bay Area in Florida. They play the Copperhead course at Innisbrook. Matt Fitzpatrick, who hasn't been in the winner's circle in a while, he ends up hoisting the trophy. Another great player. Nice to see him get in the winner's circle again. Proud of Matt.
Yeah, Carter, it has been a minute since Matt's won.
Yeah, I think 2023, Marcus, he and Jordan Spieth go into a playoff at the RBC Heritage. Two great players. It's hard to believe that's been 3 years ago now. That's coming off him winning the 2022 U.S. Open at the Country Club at Brookline. So hard to believe that's been 4 years ago now. Matt, a very accomplished player, had sort of positioned himself well in the top 10, has found his way outside that, but now is positioning himself as a threat again as major season comes around.
All right, Carter, anything going on this week?
This week is the Houston Open, Marcus, and the biggest story so far before play has started is that Scottie Scheffler withdrew. He has gone home to be with his family. Baby Scheffler number 2 is expected to be on the way. So happy for Scottie and Meredith. They're a great family. They have one son, Bennett, right, who was born last year just after the Masters. They've got another child on the way this year who is going to be born just before the Masters. So he's flirting in danger zone of not being able to play the Masters because we know Scottie's going to prioritize family first. But he's somehow parting the seas here, Marcus, nicely to get a child in just after and just before the Masters, it looks like. So best of luck to the Schefflers.
Yeah, congrats, Scottie. But man, I don't know. Timing, man. 9 months, man. Like maybe we want to just move it back a little bit, right? So you can play in the Masters. Come on, man.
Absolutely. And then looking forward to next week's the Valero Texas Open. Marcus, it's the last chance really for players who have not yet qualified for the Masters this year to win a tournament and advance their way in. 2 big weeks. You could this week move up into the top 50 in the world, and that world golf ranking will lock. If you're top 50 in the world after this week, you would be in the Masters tournament, and then next week it's win or go home. If you're not in the Masters, you win the Valero. And they've really been able to lean into that narrative and make that a fun part of their event such a great event in San Antonio. You win that event and you're in the Masters as well. So high stakes here over the next couple of weeks.
Hey man, a perfect mirror of March Madness. Win or go home. We love it. All right, Carter, that brings us nicely to our Beyond the Box Score feature.
Everything Marcus and I talk about is Beyond the Box Score, but specifically each week, we take a look into one story from the Beyond the Box Score feature in the North State Journal's sports section.
The North State Journal is North Carolina's only statewide newspaper.
For more on the North State Journal, check out nsjonline.com. And today, Marcus, we go to Inali Yefimova, the freshman from North Carolina State University who just won the NCAA title in women's 100-yard breaststroke at last week's swimming and diving competition for the NCAA championships. Marcus, Yefimova turned in a time of 56.3 seconds, giving her a 0.7 of a second win. She was a couple head lengths ahead in the race if you watched her, really winning by miles from a runner's standpoint in the pool there, Marcus. The time also set pool records. She's the fourth female swimmer to win an individual national championship and the second Wolfpack champion in that event overall, the first since Sophie Hansen in 2021.
Man, congrats to Inali. I think that's absolutely incredible to, one, win a national championship, but to do it as a freshman. And I think it's really special, too, to win national championships in individual events like this. Believe it or not, I can swim pretty well. I'm not really good at the breaststroke, but to have a time like this, to win a national championship, if I'm not mistaken, this is one of the top 5 times ever recorded in this event. Being a national champion is the tip of the iceberg. You're at the top of the top. You're the best in your class. You're the best in your sport. To do that as a freshman, I just think is absolutely incredible. So shout out to her. I know she's probably on cloud 9 right now. I hate that the Wolfpack got another championship, but I just love when athletes get to the top like that. So big congrats to her, and big congrats to her.
And we've got to shout out national champions when they're in North Carolina. So like you said, big congrats to her. I'd be remiss, Marcus, not to say one of my best friends growing up, a groomsman in my wedding, Brian Crowder, was on the NC State swimming and diving team. He is one of the first to let me know when NC State does something well. So I know he's proud of her. He's very involved as an alumni in that program. He swam in college with Cullen Jones, who you may remember was the U.S. gold medalist from NC State on the medley relay with Michael Phelps, as a young Michael Phelps was getting his career going and stacking medals too. Cullen Jones from NC State and that swimming and diving program was a part of that medley relay as well. All right, that's all for today.
Thanks for tuning in to the Buckets and Birdies podcast.
That's 23 minutes of our thoughts for you. For Marcus Ginyard, I'm Carter Bills.
We'll catch you next time.